it becomes pretty clear that the drama is all a distraction and a means to an end.
Well said. But could the Morgile be targeting the wrong people here? Hello everybody, Steiner here. Welcome to Controversy Central, where we take on controversies that really matter. Talk about a timely topic. I'd be hard-pressed to find a better example of the adept use of the magician's bag of tricks than the display now taking place in front of our eyes. I'm talking about the highly polished methods of flat earthers as they confidently proclaim that the solar eclipse that just took place is undeniable evidence that the Earth is flat. As a major solar event that attracted enormous public attention across North America, it also was a great challenge to the flat Earth community. They had to deal with it effectively, and so they did. Otherwise, it could have been used by the ball believers as a powerful object lesson to undermine the credibility of the flat Earth movement. But the flat earthers were more than up to the task. They began early on devising useful tools to misdirect people's attention, such as this one posted by Dorje Daka.
We know how the model of shadows work. The farther away the shadow is projected away from the object, the bigger it gets. But they tell you, you take this, and somehow, miraculously, you get this.
So, as we have just seen, Daka used one of the oldest tricks in that bag by letting us see something totally irrelevant that, though accurate insofar as what it shows us, is presented to completely divert attention from something else that is totally relevant. The fact that no one who teaches that the Earth is a sphere uses Daka's model for that purpose. Rather, they use the model that Synthetic Flat Earth shows us in his video.
A solar eclipse occurs when the moon moves between the Earth and the sun, blocks the sun's light, and casts a shadow on the Earth. When the moon completely covers the bright disk of the sun, that's a total solar eclipse, and it happens roughly every...
And no, I am not using NASA to prove anything. All I am saying is that trickery, rather than actual scientific evidence, is being used in attempts to debunk the idea that the Earth is a globe. Why not rather take the model of a solar eclipse used by globe earthers and show how it misrepresents the physics behind the casting of shadows? Of course, there is no way anyone can do that, hence the diversion. And this has been only a small sample of the skill and creativity used by flat earthers to convince the world that solar eclipses show that the Earth is flat. I could fill this video with many other examples of smoke and mirror tactics being used in a similar manner, but that would be to play right into their hand, because to do so would be to divert my attention from their greatest weakness. It would be to preoccupy myself with issues that are not only peripheral to the main item to be dealt with, but are also being used effectively by them as ways to distract us from that main item. And what is that main item? Wait for it. It's not the size or shape of the sun or the moon. It's not whether or not gravity exists. It's not even whether or not there's a vanishing point. It's the one thing that flat earthers have, from the get-go, claimed to be out to prove. It's also the one thing they all admit they have not been able to accomplish. And that is to present to the world a workable map that shows us the actual, real, physical, measurable shape of the Earth. It is to come up with an actual working model of the Earth, one that will allow for mapping the Earth in such a way that all distances and directions between any locations will be accurate. So far, every attempt they have ever made to accomplish this has ended in utter failure. Even Tiger Dan could only succeed in bringing upon himself pretty much every epithet that flat earthers are in the habit of heaping on those they deem to be brainwashed dupes, or, even worse, outright shills, when he valiantly attempted to create such a model and failed. Rather than take as model a basic North Polar azimuthal equidistant map with airports placed at their known coordinates, and subjected to dispassionate scientific scrutiny, his former compatriots used ad hominem attacks and other tactics to divert the attention of their audiences from this devastating blow to the accuracy of their cherished azimuthal model of the Earth. In fact, I will now dig deeper to expose why the Flat Earth magicians want me, and any other person hoping to show conclusively that the Earth is a globe, to become preoccupied with such diversions as looking at the sun, moon, and stars, or the Illuminati, or CGI, or moon landings, or even satellites. For them, anything is better than to have to come face to face with the fact that they have not, despite many attempts, been able to come up with a working model of the flat Earth. This is why, to divert attention from these problems, Flat Earth argumentation has turned into a magician's art form, complete with the adept use of smokescreens and misdirection. This art of concealing and misleading that allows the magician to channel attention away from the real action taking place in order to wow the audience with his amazing abilities is on full display in current Flat Earth productions. I don't think it started off this way. I suspect that things just didn't turn out the way the Flat Earth community had expected. They proudly told the world that they had uncovered an amazing truth that the rest of mankind needed to know. The Earth is flat. This idea formed the basis for the very name of their enterprise, the Flat Earth Movement, as well as of various Flat Earth organizations. But, to their great consternation, they could not come up with a working model of their Flat Earth, no matter how hard they tried. A proper working model would need to take into account various factors that not one known Flat Earth model has been able to accurately incorporate. All the various locations on the Earth would need to maintain their true respective positions as the Flat Earthers filled in their map, and that simply has not been happening. What they have been finding is that locations on the Earth are extremely obstinate things. They can't just be placed anywhere. For one thing, they need to retain accurate distances between themselves, no matter where they are on the Earth. But then, they also need to stay at the right direction from each other, while maintaining those accurate distances at the same time. It would not do, for example, for locations that were known to be directly north and south of each other to need to move one a bit east and the other a bit west just to maintain accurate distances from other points. But that, unfortunately, has been the case far too often on a Flat Earth model. In fact, no working model of the Flat Earth exists. Points closest to the North Pole seem to behave reasonably well, but those furthest south were, by almost any measure, by far the most rascally. They could not be made to maintain their correct locations, distance-wise, without messing with direction. Unfortunately, the same could be said the other way around as well. Thus, the need for smokescreens and misdirection are apparent.
I just want to put about one last point was I totally agree with Jonathan that, we don't know which map is right, that they're all kind of wrong, but the only thing that we know for sure is that we don't live on a spinning ball. I mean, that's beyond a shadow of a doubt. So,
if the Flat Earthers couldn't come up with a working model of the Earth, then neither could the Globe Earthers.
Even the Mercator projection, which is sort of a conventional map that we still use today, just the simple nature of it. It's the nature of the way the map is made skews relative sizes of continents and relative distances between continents the further you get from the equator. So it's, by definition, it's a cylindrical conformal map, and so by definition it's more and more skewed up to infinity when you get to the polar regions. So it technically could not possibly be an accurate representation of what the Earth actually looks like. So, this is a big issue for the flat Earth community, and it's something that we've been sort of kicking around and trying to figure out for a good long while. You have to have a map and you have to have a model, and the AE map sort of does work for demonstrating how this stuff sort of works, or how we think it works. We know for sure that the Earth isn't a spinning globe. That's for sure.
No matter that the globe model allows ships to sail and airplanes to fly with amazing accuracy from location to location, directions are accurate and so are distances. But for the adept flat earther, minor problems like that are easily solved. Simply obfuscate and have everyone focus their attention on something else. For instance, what comes out of NASA is nothing but CGI and other deception.
All that stuff from NASA is either trick photography or post-production enhancements. The point being, NASA has been faking space and the spherical Earth for its entire existence. I think 1958, whatever. Now, there are plenty of possible motives for this, but since NASA is part of the government, we can assume that their primary objective is mind control, because again, government etymologically translates to mind control. And we can assume that NASA is not really concerned with space travel, but rather convincing us that they're concerned with space travel. And so they will fabricate missions and fabricate evidence to perpetuate their need to exist, and perpetuate the mind control, which involves the cornerstone of our modern paradigm, by the way.
And flying is quite an issue. There's definitely something fishy going on.
The sailor thinks that he's traveling around the Earth this way, when in effect he's traveling around the Earth this way.
They began flying it around the world, from Abu Dhabi last year, with stops in India and China, then across the vast Pacific.
Does running around your neighborhood prove that the neighborhood is round?
I was an airline pilot for Delta for 26 years. A pilot's primary flight instrument is his artificial horizon, which he has to be maintained level to keep from climbing and descending. From a cockpit, weather permitting, I could see hundreds of miles in all directions, viewing cities connected by roads across the flat plain as far as the eye could see.
If a pilot is flying around the curve of the Earth, then he should be dipping the nose down, and every 5 minutes he should be dipping the nose down to stay around the curve. That's absolute proof that a plane flies over a flat surface rather than a curved one.
There, we've done it. Taken away everybody's gaze from the amazingly large number of ships and planes that daily go about their business with barely an incident, traveling with confidence from location to location using a globe-based mapping system. Another great thing about this trick is that it diverts attention away from the aspect of the flat Earth model that is most troubling, the actual shape of the Earth itself. You know, that flat plane. And so it goes. Look over here, NASA.
The one thing that we do know is that it is most certainly not as they told us it was. And so, and also, as far as NASA and all the lies that they have put forth and perpetuated and propagated, they do not deserve any benefit of the doubt. We most certainly did not go to the moon. And the whole thing is that they are still, they just released an article not even long ago talking about how the Van Allen radiation belts are, even to this day, an impenetrable barrier for them being able to go out into outer space.
And here, the globalists.
An alien orb is hovering in front of a human habitat which features a surveillance camera high up and seems to be connected to the orb. Both are further reinforced by the high power lines in the background representing authority and modern society's dependence on it. The globalists want total control of the entire world. What they are pushing for here is an alien agenda, meant for people to fear an alien invasion in order to conform to a one-world government, a totalitarian regime.
And here, the Illuminati.
The bottom line is, this is their disinformation program to keep us. This is the method of control, the top of the pyramid. That's why they're called the so-called Illuminati, or the enlightened ones.
And over here, the Jews.
This guy's a Jew, and he's old, like Jurassic. This is your Jurassic liar right in front of you here. Just look at that nose, look at that face. Give me a break, a complete Jew. But the Jews are taught to lie to Gentiles. This is what he's doing.
That's what he said, and I was like, okay, well, like I said, once in a while he would mention the Jew Freemasonry, but he never really mentioned it directly.
100% incorrect. I made several videos exposing the Jews. This is going back a year. And by the way, this video is even goes back further. I had many channels banned, and these are re-uploads. This is just a couple months ago. This video here, talking about the Jews, the Jesuits, Donald Trump, Copernicus, break it all down.
And here, fake moon landings.
By now, most people who are somewhat awake or quite awake are well aware that the moon landings were a hoax, and that is one of the reasons why it is now coming up upon 50 years, 50, that men have never gone back to the moon.
And here, gravity doesn't exist.
One of the biggest lies believed by all people of the world for generation after generation is the one involving gravity. When I tell people that gravity doesn't exist, they look at me as if I were a madman.
And here, the vanishing point.
The law of perspective dictates that the angle and height at which an object is seen diminishes the farther one recedes from the object, until at a certain point the line of sight and the seemingly uprising surface of the Earth converges to a vanishing point, that is the horizon line, beyond which the object is invisible. In the ball Earth model, the horizon is claimed to be the curvature of the Earth, whereas in reality, the horizon is known to be simply the vanishing line of perspective based on the strength of your eyes, instruments, weather and altitude.
And here, the firmament.
I'm asked daily, why does it matter if we live on a flat earth or a spinning ball? Understand, a flat earth with a dome, a firmament, is biblical.
Well, I hope that did the trick. There's absolutely no reason to look at what we initially said we intended to establish, the actual shape of the earth itself, when there are so many other interesting things to take hold of our imaginations. Let the globe earthers come up with a working model of the globe first. Then we can talk about designing a flat earth working model. But for now, let's see what our eyes can tell us. Look here. Your eyes never lie to you. Look carefully at this lake and at this prairie sunset. The water is flat. The land is flat. That's all you need to know. The earth is flat. All of the magical arts that have been used so skillfully by leaders in the flat earth movement have served to confuse and confound the thinking of many people. Others have attempted quite unsuccessfully to actually create a working model of the flat earth. Once I have validated in my next videos the idea that the earth is a globe, and have invalidated the idea that the earth is flat, I will be able to show in detail why and how some of these people, like Tiger Dan, could not make their flat earth models work. If you click on the notification bell below after subscribing, YouTube will let you know as soon as I make those videos available.